So today's job, I'm going to be wiring in a switch and relay for the three-way fridge that's going to be mounted at the back of the van, along the back side there, near the back door. I've done this on the previous van as well, and generally you need a switch to energise the relay. The switch wants to be something that only gets turned on when the ignition's turned on, just so the fridge doesn't just drain the battery if you just accidentally leave it, switch the battery and turn the engine off and walk away, because the three-way fridges can be quite power hungry. One of the best switches that I've found so far, the one that I used on the previous van, is the actual glove box interior light. It only energises when the ignition's on, so I'm going to be slicing into that, putting the power positive onto one of the relay switches there. I've already ran a 17 amp power line cable. You can see it coming out there. I've ran it underneath here, behind the rubber for the flooring, and there is a grommet going through the firewall. I'll show you on the other side. So that's where I've run the cable through. I've made sure the grommet's then pretty much closed back over the hole as much as possible. So that cable is going to be ran across, round the pollen filter, around the back of it, and down to the positive side of the battery there. So that's going to be the live feed from the battery. I'm going to also cut this and put an inline fuse onto this wire as well, and I'll put a 15 amp fuse into that, either 10 or 15 amp. So I'd say that cable is ran through there. I'm probably going to actually fit the relay behind the glove box as well. So I'm just going to pull a little bit of the cable back, which is tucked down there. And there's the red cable. So I'm going to pull this back. I'm going to wire up all of the cables for the relay. It says pretty much what everything needs to go on the back there. Not all of them actually have as clear a diagram as that, so that's a nice easy one to follow. So I'm going to get this wired in, get the cable ran under all the rubber flooring, down the side behind the driver's seat, and then run it along the side of the pillars down towards where the back of the fridge is. I won't be connecting it to the fridge at the moment because the fridge isn't ready to go in. I haven't cut any vent holes or anything like that, but this cable needs to be run before I start carpeting any panels, fitting those in place, otherwise the cable would be on display. So this is one of those jobs that needs to be fitted. It doesn't have to be wired in, but it needs to actually be in place before you start doing any of the panelling or things like that. So I'm going to get this wired up to the relay and see how we get on. Right, okay, well that's the relay all wired in. I've actually tested all the wiring and it's all working as well. I'll show you how to test it in a minute. But that's the relay. I'd say that only comes on when the glove box light, well, when there's power given to the glove box. That only comes on when the ignition switch is turned into ignition. So regardless of like if the key's out, if you open the glove box there's no light, which means there's no power, which means there's no power to the relay, which means the fridge can't drain the battery unless the van's in ignition at least, if not started up. Ideally you want it started up, but still, I say that's just ran off the switches going to the light for the glove box. It's just a blue wire, you just need to slice into that and then just put your power line from that onto the relay. And then everything else, I've just put the ground up to the shared ground that was already there for the glove box light as well. There was already a cable going to that, so I've just basically used the same one. Then the power for the fridge is routed underneath all this, underneath all of the pedals, above the fuse box, down round on the side there. And then it's going to be coming up there, and I'm going to route it all the way along behind this panel. I'll just need to get all my ply out the way, but at least the main routing work's done. The way I test the cabling and the relay, just to make sure it's all working fine, it's just an OPC fan, just a positive and negative to it. I've just run a quick ground up to the seatbelt buckle, just scraped a little bit of paint off there just to be sure that the cable is going to be touching some bare metal. So then when you turn the ignition on, the fan should power up. I'm just going to turn the ignition on. So as you can see there, I've just turned the ignition on, so the fan's kicked into life straight away. So that means the relay's working, it's only selecting to give power to the cabling when it's in ignition mode, so that's exactly what I want for the fridge. Just turn that off. So then when you turn the ignition off, no more power, the fan spins down. So you know the relay's good, the wiring's good, the cabling's good. So now all I need to do is do the final run, but I'll be doing that when I get all this ply out of the way. But I've got enough cable to stretch it all the way down to where the fridge is going to be going. But that is basically how you wire the relay in for a three-way fridge, or any other appliance that you want to run just when the ignition's running. So that's one of the best places for it that I've found so far. Just the glove box light. Just splice into that. Put your 4-pin relay on. And I say that's the wiring for it there. So you've just got one going off to the battery, one to the switch, one ground, and then off to the appliance that you're going to be using. Nicely labelled, easy and straightforward. So I'm just probably going to mount that on the back of the glove box or in this area around here, just so it's completely out the way but accessible in case anything ever goes wrong. Actually that's not a bad place in there, so I might put it in there. But yeah, there we go, that's the wiring of a relay for an ignition switch all sorted. Just need to put everything back together now.